I know, and the one person really, we don't know the details of how they were compromised by other diseases or illnesses. There will be something more to that.
Oh, no, it came out in the Houston Chronicle. He was premature, like 3 pounds when he was born. He always had lung problems and a bunch of other diseases. Yep.
That's it. So basically, this is a mild flu, but they'll use it to the maximum extreme because you're quite right. They want to train the public that we're so helpless in this brave new world that we can't feed ourselves anymore. The money's gone to the dogs. We can't handle anything. And now we have all these natures turned against us. Remember what they said, too, at the Club of Rome. We must teach the public that man is the enemy of the planet and nature is at war with man. And so they're using all of this right now to make us feel utterly helpless. But the big global authorities, don't worry, the experts will have it in hand, and we must obey the experts. And believe you me, for the obedience and help of experts, we will pay dearly for all their help. They have no rights at all at the end of it. Yeah,
notice the more the bankers help us, the more, they gave us a Federal Reserve to end financial problems. They gave us a depression. Yep. And they gave us a National Security Act. Now they're giving us another depression. And they openly are giving us the depression, and they're getting more power out of it instead of just arresting these people.
Exactly. And not only that, as I've said before, Bretton Woods was part one, and the founder, John Maynard Keynes, said part two will kick in the next century. And here it comes, and now they're going to be the issuers of world currency. That was the solution. We're simply living a script, and as we live the script, the public has to be trained, just trained like animals in Skinnerian techniques, to obey, obey, obey all authority. That's the key to it. We must obey authority.
And they're giving people these mindless phobias. I mean, literally, I've been watching TV shows, and the clips have been sent to me, Alan. Talk about predictive programming. Scores of shows. Burma, stay here. I want you to tell them that story when we come back. But I'm getting all these emails and clips of shows where stuff produced a month ago is now airing. It's been taped.
Yep.
Dramas, cop shows. It's all about you didn't take the shot, you're arrested, it killed other people. Or only the CEOs get the flu shots and everybody wants them and fights for them, like they're fighting for the Christmas toy everybody's got to have. And, I mean, can't the public see this is mind control and they pre-made all the shows to be airing now and that this is total proof, that they did it? I mean, this is like insider trading. The CIA-owned companies did record American and United put options, and then nobody gets in trouble. Now you have all the shows, literally all over TV, about flu as the flu happens outside of flu season, and it isn't obvious to people. Let's talk about predictive programming when we get back.
You're listening to GCN, the world leader in independent talk radio.
I want Alan Watt to break down predictive programming. I know people that know Alan Watt. Charlie Sheen says he's a great guy. Max Kaiser's friends with him. But he is a gun grabber. I don't like that. And he's going to be running for Senate, he's talking about now. But
you're not talking about Alan Watt. You're talking about Alec Baldwin.
Is Alec Baldwin.
You said Alan Watt.
Alan Watt is running for Senate, and he's friends with Charlie Sheen. Now, listen, I got too much going on in my head, Burmis, and I'm also listening. You breathe in the microphone. But the issue is Burmis will be live tonight. 9 to midnight with the Info Warriors show here on the network, doing a great job. And I'll be popping in with him some as well because I'm going to be up here working on a film, a special release we're going to be announcing next week, something a little special. But going back to Alec Baldwin is a great actor, and I want to get Alan Watt's take on this with predictive programming. And so I wanted to play this particular clip from Hulu. And if you watch the clip carefully, he's playing the part of an alien, a master race. When he walks in, it shows people behind him being led away dead to have their brains taken. After your brains are taken, they're going to kill you. And they say, it's ridiculous that TV, eats your brain. It only softens it. Hulu takes it all the way. What are you going to do? Turn your TV off? Well, TV really is doing this. The elites see themselves as the Morlock, us the Eloi. They are controlling us. They are doing all of this. And so this is how they are conditioning us. So this is really a very sinister ad as they throw it in our face. And it's funny that we're being killed and we're being brainwashed and we're losing our soul to the television when in reality it's actually doing that, causing Alzheimer's, all these other things, all the big studies about how it does cause brain damage. They make a big joke out of it in his TV show. You were saying, one of many we've heard about, but you saw it, where everybody's fighting to get the vaccine. So this is how they do predictive programming. I want Alan Watt to talk about that. Now, but see, there's the big joke there is that, oh, we're enslaving you, and the guy's laughing, and he's laughing back at him, and then he stops laughing. It's a fake laugh. It's like, look, this ad is a joke on you. I don't even know if Baldwin understands this.
He's dinner, too. You know, I mean, in between the laughing, he gives him that look like, I'm going to eat you. You know, it's crazy. Crazy.
And it shows him in the background taking people they've killed away, and it's all done like in a clinical way. Now, Alan Watt, tell folks about predictive programming for those that don't understand. The government admits and the media admits, like you watch all science fiction movies, Starship Troopers, that science fiction movie that they just did with a few years ago with Clooney. It's all about, I want to really do good so I can get a license to have children so I can compete to be 1 out of 1,000 to have kids. That's predictive programming. They're telling you what the future is going to be, and you see stuff 40 years ago in science fiction. It's what happened today. Explain predictive programming, and then Burmis is going to briefly tell folks what happened on this last sitcom with Alec Baldwin.
Mm-hmm. It's a scientific process of familiarization to the public. So you familiarize them with ideas in a fictional format. When it's in fiction, the sensor part of your brain is down. You're being entertained, you think. But it's implanting a possible idea, a possibility of something to come. Therefore, when it starts to happen gradually in society, this actual idea comes into, it becomes concrete and it's implemented. You think it's all quite natural, that we're somehow progressing naturally along a certain path. But in reality, your mind has already been prepared to accept something you would never otherwise accept, because you'd be reasoning through it. Through fiction, you don't reason through. And when it's coupled with emotion, every movie, every novel has a character you will identify with, the hero, the heroine, and you identify with them, and you go through things that you may go through in your real life with them. When you couple it with the actual downloads implanted of the idea of something to come, you're now familiar with it. And so emotion is the best way to do it. They call it emotive programming. And in that sense, they can put anything into your mind, especially scary scenarios. That's
and
what they're using right now.
They will have a set of archetypes. They admit this in broadcast school, of the guy that's the cool kid next door and the info babe and the guy that's the father figure and the mother figure. Or like in the Transformers, the new one coming out, you've got the hero Optimus Prime jumping up on the giant robot, like one of our ancestors jumping on the back of the mastodon. It's all these preconditioned ancient instincts, almost ancestral memories. And the establishment admits this, that they are programming. And so I've been watching online the old 1980s G.I. Joe. Gold is bad. Cobra believes in that as a currency. Wearing black ski masks is good. The police state's good. Checkpoints are good. Watch children's shows. Mm-hmm. And it's total. And now they admit G.I. Joe is basically funded by the Pentagon as product placement. And now it's just out in the open. They're programming everything. And then they admit the Pentagon developed video games. Now they're hiring people that are good at the flight simulators to fly the Predator drones. Now the zit-faced kids are 25. They're actually flying the death drones. They're being recruited into the Air Force. Now they're saying soon, within 5-6 years, we're going to have you jacked in with a chip into your brain. You don't have to take the chip. You're just the hero. You're a fighter pilot in your pod 10,000 miles away. I mean, it's all happening. It's all really unfolding.
It's a script. The script was written a long time ago, and the big foundations probably employ more psychologists and experts on anthropology, ethnology, etc., than any other agencies or governments in the world. And they basically are the ones, the parallel government is comprised, remember, of big foundations, which are just the fronts for the bankers. And they bypass all democracy. They have their agenda. Their agenda was written a long time ago. The big boys who gave us Brave New World in the 1930s, talking about genetic engineering of a fixed population with special purposes for you'd be designated with your job for life. You'd be created for that job, physically created for that job. It was done in the 30s. They all belonged to the same organization for this world governmental system. A scientific dictatorship was what Huxley called it. And that's what we're going into. And they're using fear. Now, we've all heard about the global warming scams and so on and so on. And again, it's coming from the United Nations, the International Panel on Climate Change. Here's a quote from them. Here's a quote from one of the top guys there at the United Nations. Stephen Schneider, Stanford professor of climatology, lead author of the IPCC reports for the United Nations. He says, we need to get some broad-based the public's imagination. So we have to offer up scary scenarios, made simplified, dramatic statements, and make little mention of any doubts. In other words, terror, terror, terror. It is each of us has to decide what's the right balance between being effective and being honest. And then the other chairman, Sir Hugh Houghton of the IPCC at the United Nations, that's giving the global warming scam, he says, unless we announce disasters, no one will listen. Well, this whole health thing with the flu right now is for the World Health Organization at the United Nations, and it's now their turn to do the same thing with scary scenarios. That's what's happening right now.
Absolutely. Now here's just a microcosm of predictive programming, and it came out the FBI and the Pentagon. This is even on television. I already read about it years ago. One day I was watching TV. I think it was History Channel, did a show about the history of SWAT teams and said that they wanted to introduce it to the public. They just said it calmly.